Kakadosh Boker Or, Masechet Sotah Daf Mem Daled Amud Aleph 44a1. We just spoke about that Rabbi Yitzchak says the name of Rabbi Yochanan, the name of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, Met Tofes Arba Amot Letum'ah. What does that mean? A met is going to take 4 amot around him to do with tum'ah, which means if you go within the 4 amot of a met, even if you do not touch the met, or you're not going to be in an ohel, he's going to be tamet, tumat met midrabbanan, because of 4 amot. So here it says the reason why is because maybe be'emet he will be under an ohel, and therefore he's going to purify himself without paying attention. So therefore they made a special takana, 4 amot, right? A person becomes tameh. The Tana Tuna, and this is what our Tana taught. Hatzar akeven haomed betoha tahor, which means even though you're going to be within the arba amot of the metim in the me'ara, right? The fact that, right, you're not going to become tameh because the chatzer is separate from the me'ara. So therefore the chachamim did not make such a gezerah because you're in 2 different places, which means even though here you're within the Daled Amot, but you're in a different vicinity, you're in a different area, because you're in the Chatzer and there's the Me'ara, here's the cave and you're in the Chatzer right outside of the cave. So even though you're within the Daled Amot, but it's a different property in itself. Vehu shiyuba. So he comes and he says, but this is as long as there's going to be what? Arba Amot. As long as the chatzer is minimum of 4 amot, because if the chatzer is going to be minimum of 4 amot, so therefore it's going to be a different vicinity, and there's not going to be a problem. These are the words of Bet Shammai. Bet Hillel omrim, Bet Hillel come and they say arba'at tfachim. All you need in the chatzer is 4 tfachim, not 4 amot, but rather 4 tefachim. So b'medvarim, one of these words, he comes and he says milmala. When the chatzer is going to be basically shepitcha, that the entrance of the chatzer is on the top, which means it's like it's going down. It's on the topwards, and therefore you're coming out of it. Aval pitcha minatzad. But if it's going to be that you go in it from, like, for example, there's going to be right with how do you call this? That it's going to be on like the stairs on the sides, okay? And he says over here, according to everybody, Arba amot, there's going to be 4 amot. Okay, fine. So therefore, you see from here that it all depends on where the entrance is, because even according to Bet Hillel, they say it's only keshebitchad milmala, it's going to be good for tfachim, but if not, according to everybody, you need 4 amot, even according to Bet Hillel, not only according to Bet Shammai, if the entrance is going to be on the side. So says the Gemara, klape laya, which means, what are we talking about now? Right? Adrabah, the exact opposite. Minatzad, if you're going to tell me that the entrance of this courtyard is going to be on the side, midrid v'nafik, somebody that's going to go out is actually, when he's leaving the me'ara, he's actually going further away. So we're not going to suspect that he's going to become tameh without realizing it. Milmala, if he's coming out from above, meaning the entrance is above it instead of on the side, he says, Efshar de lo ma'ahil. So it's impossible that he's not within the ohel. So for you should be mitameh, which means like this. One more time. We had a machloke between Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel. Bet Shammai comes and he says you need 4 amot in the chatzer. Bet Hillel comes and he says 4 tfachim. Bet Hillel comes and he says, when do I say it's enough for tfachim? Only if it's going to be milamala. If it's going to be minatzad, that means the entrance is going to be on the top. But if it's going to be on the side, for example, you've got stairs on the side and you're leaving. So therefore he says, it's according to everybody, you need daled amot. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. The logic should be the exact opposite. Why? Again, one more time. If you're talking about that you touched the deceased, or you did an ohel with the deceased, there's nothing what to talk about. Here we're talking about a tumam derabanan. The rabbi said the fact that you got within the 4 amot of this met, I'm going to suspect that maybe you went within the ohel and you didn't pay attention, so you're tamemi derabanan. So says the Gemara, I don't understand you. It's the exact opposite. If you're right now coming and you have, for example, this is the me'ara. You have a me'ara, and all of a sudden here you have a door on the side, and you leave. When you leave, you're distancing yourself from the me'ara. So therefore, the second that you leave, the more that you're distancing yourself from the me'ara. If you're going upwards, once you're inside, you have the ohel. You're in the same vicinity. So therefore, he comes and he says, what's a svara to say that if the entrance is on the top, right, then it's enough 4 tfachim. And if it's on the side, you need Daled Amot, just like Bet Shammai, the exact opposite. It should be the exact opposite. If the entrance is on the top, you have more reason to say that there's Ohel. And if the entrance is on the side, the more reason to say that you shouldn't be a problem. Because you're distancing yourself from the Kvarim when you're going. So he says, Ella, but rather you have to change it. But one of these words, meaning when do you say that according to Bet Hillel comes and he says that it's enough 4 tvachim is minatzad. The exact opposite. Meaning the logic is opposite. If the entrance is on the top, they hold like Bet Shammai. You need 4 amot in the chatzer. But if the entrance is on the side, it's enough 4 tvachim, and it's already going to be okay. And one of these words, chatzar hakever temesayma mechitzata. We're talking about a person that's in the chatzer hakever within the 4 amot of the kever. He's going to be tahor. We're talking about where the mechitzot are nikarot, and they divide it from the me'ara. Aval met be'alma tafis. But a met, just like that, right, is always going to become tameh. Which means, when do we say this? If you could actually tell that there's a difference in, meaning there's the cemetery, meaning this is where they have it, and this is where the chatzer is. You could tell the mechitzot are nikarot. They are discernible and recognizable, that you could actually see where are the mechitzot. Then you're right, you could make a differentiation between the 4 amot of the kever, that even though you're within the 4 amot, but it's in a different room, it's in a different place, and therefore it's going to be tahor. But if it's met alma, just stam, in an open place and there's no walls, it's going to be tameh within the 4 amot. 2 dots. Mi haish asher eras isha. Who's the person that comes and he gets engaged? Okay, and he didn't actually get married. So Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita, asher eras, whether he got engaged. Echada me'ares, doesn't matter whether he was me'ares et betula, me'ares et almana, whether he got married to a betula, to an almana, or shomeret yavam. Afilu chamisha achin umet echad mehem b'milchama. Even if you have 5 brothers and one of them they died in the war, kulam chozrim. So this is to do with the shomeret yavam. That means basically the brother died, he didn't have any children. So now each one of these brothers could do yibum. We don't know which one is going to do it. So for all 5 of them, they retract because of shomeret yavam. So then that was the pshat av asher eras, meaning eras, irusim, any type of irusim, to a betula, almana, or shomeret yavam. Next, right? It says asher eras isha v'lo lekacha, lo lekach. It doesn't say lo lekach, v'lo lekacha. Prat l'almana kohen gadol grusha v'chalutza kohen idiot mzer netila l'Yisrael bat Yisrael menzirontem. When it says lekuchin, as it says v'lo lekacha, right? So therefore, it's coming to exclude any type of an isur. Which means if you have an almana getting married to a kohen gadol, or a grusha v'chalutza to a regular kohen, right, or a mamzeret to netina to Yisrael or bat Yisrael to mamzeretin, since there's an isur, right? So since there's an isur done, so therefore there's going to be prohibition. Meaning, since there's a prohibition in the actual likuchin, in the actual marriage, they do not come back from the war. So it says the Gemara, lema de la Rabbi Yosef Gileh. Why would you say there's not like Rabbi Yosef Gileh? This is why. If you're going to tell me it's like Rabbi Yosef Gileh, Hamad, he said, if it already comes afterwards and it says that if you're going to be afraid of your avirot, you should go home. So for obviously here, this is an avirah. So therefore, why do I have to come and tell you, by the way, you got engaged? Forget about engagement. Anyway, you're going home because you already did avirot. And if you got engaged in one of these marriages, you're already doing avirot. You already go back home. So for what are we talking about? So says the Gemara, no. Afilu tema Rabbi Yosef Gileh. Even if we're going to talk about Rabbi Yosef Gileh, like Rabba, we're talking about like Rabba. The Amar Rabba, but says Rabba, leolam enu chayav ad shivol. There's no isur until you do the be'ilah. Meaning when it says the word of lo yikach, right, to do with irusin, it says lo yichalel, right, by the concept, is to do with relations. Matam lo yikach, mishum lo yichalel. Why is it that you cannot take the woman, you cannot get married to her? Because you don't want to be mechalel your children. Right? When you come and you get married, and almanat to a kohen gadol, the children are chalalim. Rushav chalutza to a kohen idiot, children are chalalim. Amamzeret to netina to Yisrael, the children are mamzerim. Right? But Yisrael, children are mamzerim. Meaning you're coming and you're desecrating your children. Meaning the reason why you're not allowed to get married to them is not just stam because of the marriage, it's because you don't want to desecrate your children. Because of that, eno lokeh shivol. Meaning, even if a person come and he got married to a grusha v'chalutza and he was a kohen idiot, or he got married to an almana and he was a kohen gadol, or he got married to a mamzeh, whatever the case is, there's no floggings, there's no makot, until what? Ad shivol, until there's a relations. So you see from here, he only did the rusin. He didn't have relations with her. So therefore there was no isur yet. Right? You're not allowed to get married to them because you don't want to just go. But technically speaking, until the relations, you didn't do anything with it. Okay? So therefore, we could still be going like the Shita of Rabbi Yosef Galilei, that basically, since it doesn't exclude them, but they didn't do an Avirah yet. So therefore, they don't go back because there was no real marriage, meaning the marriage was not a good marriage without an Avirah. But Mitzat Sheni, they still don't have the Avirah. So therefore, they won't come back because of that Avirah.
Yeah,
okay?
The fear of doing.
Tanu Rabbanan. Yeah, he comes and he says like this: Asher bana. What does it mean now? Which they built. Asher nata, asher eras, limda Torah derech eretz. Shivne adam ba'ita kerem v'chag yisa isha. Which means like this: why is it that the order was somebody that built a house, then somebody that plants a vineyard, and then somebody gets married? Why is that the order? Says the Gemara, the Braita, we're learning derech eretz. The first thing that the person has to do is build, right, a house. Afterwards, you plant a vineyard, and afterwards you come and you get married to a woman, which means the parnasah comes right before you come and you start getting married. And that's what King Solomon said with his wisdom. Shlomo Melech says, "Hachen b'chutz melachtecha." Prepare outside your work. V'ateda b'sadeh lach, right? Achar ubanita betecha. And then you're going to come and you're going to also have your field. And then afterwards, you're going to come and you're going to build your house. Hachen b'chutz melachtecha is the house. Ateda b'sadeh lach is your kerem, your vineyard. Achar ubanita betecha. Then afterwards, you're going to get married. Zoisha. So you see, that's a itzav. Shlomo Melech also. Davar acher, another explanation. Hachen b'chutz melachtecha is a mikra. First one, chumash. Ateda b'sadeh lach is mishnah. And then you're going to build your house is the Gemara. Because before learning Gemara, you should be a baki, an expert on the Chumash, on Torah, and then on Mishnah, and then on Gemara. Tavar acher, another explanation. It's Torah and Mishnah. Is Gemara. Those are actions. Your actions should reflect what you are. The son of Rabbi says, the opposite. It's Mikra, Mishnah, and Gemara. So it's Chumash, Mishnah, and Gemara. Is you're going to receive a reward. Okay? 2 dots. Next. These are the people that did not go back from the war. If you're going to build this gatehouse. So Tana, we learned to write if you mosif bo dimus echad, right? If it is going to be, you're going to add 1 row of bricks, whether it's talking about the how do you call this? The height or width or things like that. Oziel, you do go back because then it's considered a bait chadash. Okay, so imagine right now you're going to come and you're going to build a house, right? We just said that if you build a house, you go back. If you break it and you build the exact same house, you don't go back. But if you added even 1 row of bricks, it's considered you built a new house, and then you go back. Elmaleh comes and he says, what does that mean? He says, this house, since you already know that you're building it every single few years, because you used to build it twice every single 7 years, so therefore it's already considered like a baitarai. It's not considered a fixed house. It's like a temporary house. And therefore, since it's a temporary house, that's why it's not going to exempt you from going to war. There are certain people that they don't even have to go back. Because remember, all these people, they went to the border, and then they come and they say, whoever built a house, go back home. Whoever did this, do that. One second. Here, there are certain people that they don't even go to the border. They stay at home from the beginning, and they don't have to work at all. Not like the other people that when they go back, they still have to do community service work. Because he says these are the people that don't go back, they don't move at all. We learned to the Braita, Isha Chadasha, right? A new woman. Only a Chadasha, that's only a new woman. How do you know also Managusha? Also, you're going to be exempt. Any type of a woman. If so, why does it say Isha Chadasha? Chadasha lo, it's new to him. This comes to exclude. If it's going to be Machzir Gurushato, meaning that he's getting married to the same woman, that means he divorced her and then he's getting married to her again, that's not a new woman to him. We learned in the Braita, he doesn't go to war. I would have thought to say that he doesn't go to war, but he has to but he still has to do the community service, which means he has to fix the path, he has to give the water and all these things. Nada. He does nothing. Yachol shani mar be'afa bone by bilon chalo. I would have thought to say also somebody's going to build a house and he didn't use it. So he planted the vineyard and then didn't get married, or he didn't. Right? Allah. You're not going to do it on him, but you're going to do it to other people. So if it's already written, that means you're not going to be over Allah. What does it mean? So to come and to go and transgress two different loves. Okay, fine. Mishnah on the bottom of Mem Daled Amud Aleph 44a. So the shotarim are going to come and they're going to speak to the people. Rabbi Akiva comes and he says, Hayare v'racha levav k'mashmao. What does that mean, Hayare v'racha levav? It means mamash like the translation. Somebody that's afraid and he's got a weak heart. He cannot come and stand when there's going to be war. And he cannot see the swords which are in front of him. Rabbi Yosef says, Hayare v'racha levav zamiteresh min ha'averot shebiyado. No. It's the avirot in a person's hands. That's what a person is afraid of. And therefore, taltalo Torah et kol elu she'achzor biglalan, which means since he's got avirot, they came and they gave him another exemptions. What are the other exemptions? You build a house, you did this. Why? She'achzor biglalan. He doesn't have to be afraid of his avirot. Meaning that the Torah, they don't want to embarrass a person like that. They give you a way out. What's the way out? A person's afraid of avirot, so therefore they give him a way out that is able to come, right, and is able to do this. Rabbi Yosef comes and he says, the third shita, no, that is why? Because he's afraid. He's doing avirot. What's avirot? He's getting engaged to one of these women that is going to be a problem. So after the shotrim come and they speak to the nation, so then the generals are going to speak to the nation. Right? What does that mean? They come and they put, right, the giborim, right? They put them in front of them, right? And other people behind them. They're going to put all these like axes and everything in their hands. Right? And anybody that wants to come and run away, right? They come and they're allowed to kill them. Meaning, there's something actually incredible. The mamash like they were like stopping them from going away. Right? He says because the beginning of the fall, right, is when people start running away. Right? One of these words, everybody goes out. Even a chatan even a chatan and kala mamash like that, they're going to go out to war. Why? Yeah, Amar Rabbi Yehuda says Yehuda med when these words in milchamet mitzvah, milchamet chova, kol yotzin afilu chatam echador. Sorry, which is that? Yeah, the same thing. Okay, the opposite. Milchamet mitzvah, but in milchamet chova, everybody goes out. So there's a machloket. Do you go out? Obviously, we're going to have to understand what is milchamet reshut, milchamet chova, milchamet mitzvah. There's three different things here, right? But okay, we'll have to actually understand that in the Gemara. Let's say the Gemara. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara. What's the difference between Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Yosef Galileh? They're explaining they're both explaining that it's going to be over Avera. So the difference between them is going to be an Avera de Rabbanan. Right? That according to Rabbi Yosef Galileh, he goes back, and according to Rabbi Yosef, he does not go back, because it's only an Avera de Rabbanan, and it's not, right, an Avera de Oraita. Because basically the concept is that he says Almanako to Gadol. All these averot are from the Torah. So therefore he comes and he says, only averot in the Torah do you go back. The other one that he says you're afraid of any averot, that's even averot in the Rabbanan. So come on as the Haditanya. So who does it go like this, right? Where it says, we're on Memdaladam Bet, yeah, 44b. So he says, Sach ben tfilah le tfilah. If somebody is going to come and speak between tfilin shel rosh and tfilin shel yad, avera hi biyado. It's an avera de Rabbanan, and you go back. Keman who like Rabbi Yosef Galileh, that even on avera de Rabbanan you go back. And he's even speaking between, right, tfilin shel rosh and tfilin shel yad, a person will go back. Man tana lahad tana Rabbanan, who's the tana that says like this? Shama kol kranot v'irtia hagafat risim v'irtia tziktzua haravot u'mayim shottim al birkav chozer. So who's the one that says that? Imagine right now a person comes and he hears the sounds of the horns, or he comes and he hears, right, whether it's going to be right, the hagafat risim v'irtia Who are all these people that say that you have to go back? Keman like who? Lema Rabbi Akiva. It's like Rabbi Akiva. Velo Rabbi Yoseh, and not like Rabbi Yoseh Galileh. So says the Gemara, in this case, of the case of Rabbi Akiva, even Rabbi Yoseh Galileh is going to be modeh, because which means like this. If a person has a low morale, because basically he started the mamash, like he starts doing minaglaim and things like that, or he starts doing, because he's mamash, he's afraid. He starts doing his necessities on top of himself because he's just afraid of what's going on. For sure, according to everybody, you could go back. Why? Because at the end of the day, you're just going to destroy the morale of all the other soldiers. Right? When they see that you're like that, get him out of you. He said he's going to get him. So that's why he says you have to be careful. Okay. So when the shotarim are going to stop speaking to the people, right? He says, what are you telling me now that the beginning of the running away is the fall? The beginning of the fall is the running away. That's what it should have been written. Meaning, the downfall of the army is when they start running away, not that the starting of the runaway is it's the other way around. So, Ema, you're right. The beginning of failure is when they start running away. When in these words, Rabbi Yochanan says, Reshut is the Rabbanan, right? Zoi mitzvah, right? What does that mean? That means the Reshut of the Rabbanan is really Milchemet mitzvah. The Rabbi Yehuda mitzvah is the Rabbanan, is the Chova of Rabbi Yehuda, which means Chachamim and Rabbi Yehuda, they agree that there's a sub milchama which they are pturim. The machlok between them is what is considered a milchemet mitzvah. So Amar Rava says milchamot Yoshua lechvosh is according to everybody it's milchemet chova. Meaning when Yoshua ben Nun came to conquer the land of Israel, that according to everybody was milchemet chova. Milchamot bet David lirvacha according to everybody is reshut. Meaning that the fact that David HaMelech wanted to widen the borders, according to everybody that's milchemet reshut. That's of a permission. It's not a chova. So, when's the machloket, when in order that the goyim, in order that they shouldn't come to fight against us, one of them calls it a mitzvah, one of them calls it a reshut, which means that we don't want them to come, and the purpose of us fighting the nation right beside is in order that we don't have them coming and fighting against us. So that's a machloket. Is that considered mitzvah, or is that considered reshut? Nafkamina, what's the nafkamina? Lo sek b'mitzvah sheputum mitzvah, because if somebody's doing a mitzvah, so if you're already doing a mitzvah, you're going to be patur for mitzvah, and therefore you don't have to come to the war. Hadran alach, mashuach milchama. We just finished the chapter of mashuach milchama. Now we're starting the next chapter, perek teshi'i, the 9th chapter. And dalad towards the bottom. We're talking about now the eglah rufa. Okay, and it says like this: eglah rufa has to be said b'lashon hakodesh, meaning all the different things of the eglah rufa. Shneimar says the pasuk, ki matzeh chala b'adami yatzu zekerev v'shovetecha umaddu. There were 3 of the Bedin, the Sanhedrin Agdolah, and they used to come out, right? And they used to go to where the place is. If Yudao men Chamisha, there were 5 from the Bedin Agdol of Yerushalayim. Shneimar Zekenecha, right? Zekenecha has to be minimum 2. Shofetecha is 2. Ve'medin Shakul, you never do 2 against 2. So from Osif Elmaleh, Modechad, you're always going to do 1 extra one, which means whenever it's plural, it's minimum 2. So Zekenecha, your elders are 2. Shofetecha are going to be 2. 2 and 2 is 4. You can't do 2, 4. You always need 5. You always need an odd number, not an even number. So therefore, you're going to have 5. If right now the halal was actually buried, right, underneath stones, or hanging on a tree, or tzafal pnei hamayim, lo hayu orfin, they wouldn't come and they wouldn't do eglah rufa. When it says ba'adama, it's mashma that he wasn't lo tamum bagal, nofel velo talui beilan basadeh. Right? So each one is coming and saying it. Because when it says ba'adama, it means that it's not buried. If it's fallen and it's not that hung, if it's in the field and it's not going to be on the water. I guess because obviously all these things, probably we're going to see in the Gemara, what's the reasoning, right? Why, right? We don't have these things. Obviously, it's because of other things, obviously. Okay, fine. Then it says over here, Nimtza samuch l'sfar, if it's going to be beside the border of Israel, or the city that the majority of goyim, or that there's no bedin, lo yorfin, they wouldn't do eglah rufa. Okay, because again, it had to be beside a bedin, beside all these things, and it had to be Jewish and everything. It has to be a city that they have a bedin kavua. Says the Gemara, Maika Amar. What is the Mishnah talking about? Amar Rabbi Yavu says Rabbi Yavu. This is what we say. Shneimar ve'anu ve'amiru. They answer the Zikrim. They're going to answer. And they're going to say Ulhalanu omen. And later on they say V'anu levim ve'omrim. That the Levim are going to answer, and they're going to say, Ma aniya mura le'alam b'lashon kodesh. Just like aniya, which is written, it's Lashon HaKodesh. So to here, it's going to be Lashon HaKodesh. V'seged regla rufa ketzad. What is the seder of the regla rufa? Ki matzeh halal ba'adamah yatzu zekenecha v'shovatecha shlosha bedin hagadosh v'sham yitzim. So therefore, when you're going to find a halal ba'adamah, they're going to come out as zekenecha v'shovatecha. 3 of the bedin hagadol are going to come out. If Yehuda comes and he says there's going to be 5 of them. Tanabah, we learned on the bright eyes. It's 2 zekenecha v'shovatecha. Zekenecha is 2. Shovatecha are 2. Then bedin shakul so masvim alehem od echad. So you're going to add on 1. So it's going to be chamisha. These are words of Yehuda. Rabbi Shimon Omer. Rabbi Shimon says zekenecha is 2. Then bedin shakul. So therefore you masvim od echad. So therefore you're going to have 3. Rabbi Shimon Nami. Rabbi Shimon also it's written shofatecha, which means you should also have another 2 over there, because they only learned zekenecha, which is 2. You don't have bedin shakul, so you have 3. But what about shofatecha? He says miyuchadin shofatecha. No, they have to be sanedin gedolah. That's what it means. And it doesn't mean you have to bring another 2. It means that they have to be sanedin hagedolah. Rabbi Yehuda, and according to Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, mizikne zekenecha nafkala. The fact that he could have just said zikne. Why does it say zekenecha? So it comes to teach you this halacha. Rabbi Shimon, and according to Rabbi Shimon, if it would have only been written zikne, hava mina would have thought to say afilu zikne ashuk, even the zaken in the shuk. Katav rachmana zekenecha, so if it's wrote zekenecha, katav rachmana zekenecha, if it was only written zekenecha, I would have thought to say even sanedin aktana, which means the sanedin of 23. Katav rachmana v'shofetecha, it came to tell you shofetecha miyuchadim shubashofetecha. Rabbi Yehuda, and according to Rabbi Yehuda, gamar zikne mi zikne eda. Maleh halam yuchadin shebedaf kan yuchadin shebeda. So igamar, if you're going to tell me now legumra lekula milta me'atam, why don't we learn everything from over there? Zekenecha v'shodecha lamali, which means if I'm going to learn from ziknei eda, ziknei, I'm learning a gzera shava ziknei eda. So why do I need zekenecha shofetecha then? So teaches the Gemara ella the extra vav, ella vav v'shofetecha leminyana. It's coming to add on another 2 dayanim. Rabbi Shimon argues on the vav lo mashmele. He doesn't like this extra vav adding on another 2 dayanim, and therefore he comes and he wants to say that it's not true. What do you mean not true? Meaning that he doesn't like this concept of the extra vav coming and saying that it's going to be adding on another 2 people, and then we'll continue tomorrow with Elamiyah.